swearing.
I might as well go home now then.
Off you go then. Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to one of our Lyceum evenings, coming at you from our church down on the south coast of the UK, Paul Christian Spiritualist Church. So we're just having a little preamble talk here while people join us. Switch off the football. The football, turn it off.
Yeah, get rid of that after that lot last night.
I don't watch it. Listen, all these contentious things that people watch on the telly so that they can complain about it. I'm just like, why are you watching it?
I haven't seen the game yet.
just turn it off. That thing in the jungle saying about voting for a certain person, oh yeah, you should all vote for him to do this and that, and I'm like, or you could just not watch it. It's really not difficult. Anyway, we have people coming in. Hello. Good evening and welcome to our Lyceum nights. Tonight's guest needs no introduction, so I'm not going to bother.
You too.
We have a very experienced, very knowledgeable medium with us tonight. Mr. Yeah, just behind you. Celia, come out here. Mr. Bill Rich from Southend. Bill,
evening, guys. Evening, everyone.
Welcome. So, quick hello to everybody joining us. Thank you so much for joining us on this evening. Please remember, these Lyceum nights are about us all talking. I always remind people, do you know what? No question is daft if you don't know the answer. Nobody who gets up and works on a platform or a venue or does any work publicly with spirit got to where they are without asking questions. So please bring those questions in. To start the ball rolling. I'm just going to go tonight. I'm going to put my other teeth in. We have the ball rolling tonight. We'll be talking about circles. Now, I know that's a really, really broad subject. But I do like once in a while to sort of like revisit what I call 1.0. Just get back to brass tacks of circles, circle work, setting them up, the running of them, the way we conduct them, possibilities for change, little challenges there for people to have a think about in different ways. So, Bill, how long have you been working as an evidential medium in the public eye?
31 years.
31 years, wow. You don't look old enough.
Thank you, mate. You're my friend. I love you now.
The bill's in the post.
Cheers, mate. 31 years, and I still enjoy it today as much as I did when I first came out. It's just something I love working with spirit.
You came out 31 years ago, did you? That's nice.
I come very close to telling my missus to shut up then. She's laughing in the background, Thanks, Laurie, you are so dead.
Everybody listening, Bill and I do talk quite a lot. It's probably at least once a week we have a talk, and we've got very good friendship and we do rib each other. So before you start writing in saying you can't say things like that, well, yes, we can.
Yeah, we do. It's how it is.
I'll be boy pants on, just get on with it.
Yeah.
But so, as I say, you've been working 31 years now out in the public gaze. I know that you do Dems. I know you love your church services. I know you love to bring that philosophy bent in there. You do remarkable private sittings. You've done a couple of sessions here at Paul of private sittings, and everyone came out and just went, wow, absolutely wow.
Nice.
And you've got your wonderful teaching abilities as well, because of this very down-to-earth approach. But all that started in your circle work, did it not?
I think, if I'm brutally honest, and I'll be straight with this, I was fortunate. I had a good start, a good grounding in circle. I really did. I had my first leader was extremely strict.
Yeah.
And what you valued with spirit and what it was about was really accentuated in the circle. And believe it or not, it wasn't all about messages.
Yeah.
It was understanding what spiritualism is, what it is to be spiritual, the workings with spirit that enhanced your work, but you had a good grounding, a seriously good grounding. And it's a question I ask myself to this day: if I didn't have that teacher, would I have still been working 31 years? Because the one thing that teacher taught me is never stop asking, never stop searching, never stop reaching out to find the next level that you and spirit can reach. And I think that was the important part of my circle. I really do believe that.
Yeah.
And I think strong teachers in circle, they give you a platform to work from. They build a foundation. That is the important part. And yourself, how long have you been out working then? I know you've been out a long time, but we're on about working now.
Oh dear, this is going to be.
It's going to be one of them nights, Laurie. You've been
Do you know what? I'm stalling for time here because I'm trying to think through, and I think I have been working since I've been working for 24 years.
Still a long time.
And prior to that, that was 8 years sat in circle before I'd even dare get up and do like an open platform or something like that. So, oh, good God, where's my life gone? But you said a couple of key words there about, especially, I do love very much that philosophy about never stop reaching, never stop learning. We had a conversation offline during the week, and I highlighted where I became aware that my own development had ground to a halt, and therefore my messages all had a very similar feel, to the point of me saying to people, have I been to you with this before? And I hadn't, but because I got there, so that's where I kept working, because I never tried to push myself. And when I became aware of that and brought in pushing, obviously the mediumship's evolved. But we're of that generation where we did have access to these teachers who instilled that discipline within us. And I'm not saying these are people, stand there with a rod and cane and beat you into submission, but there were certain practice, I was always taught you never walk across the circle. You were not to wear black to go to the circle. You would not discuss the circle once the circle is shut down.
Yeah.
Now, I think if we take each of those lessons and examine them as a lesson on truth value, it would probably be quite easy to debunk them, But the overall effect was you had that respect. And my God, you only missed circle if you were dying.
Well,
and even then, you had to
like a circle with a sick note saying you was dead, didn't you?
Yeah.
Before it was accepted.
Yeah. But all of those things combined just instilled that discipline into us. Because we were in that environment then, we had to work by the rules that were being set down by the circle leaders. So that automatically engenders an air of teacher-student, because you're working to other people's rules. So you're like, oh, okay, I do it this way because that's what you expect. So that brings in our own self-discipline. What do you think about that?
I think so, yeah. I think you can have discipline in your own life in what you do in your everyday life. Work at a set time, do this, do that, etc. But the discipline you get in circle is very different. It's not harsh. It's something you welcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know there's a construction of the circle, and that every lesson you're learning is there for a reason, and you're encouraged to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that encouragement, especially with someone like me who rebelled against anything in life, I never rebelled against that discipline in circle. You had to be there a certain time. There were certain ways that, like you said, you couldn't cross the circle, couldn't do this. I accepted that discipline because it was beneficial to me. And it was done in a way that the more I accepted that discipline, the more I was able to gain knowledge and understand and expand. And I think, sadly, in today's circles, I don't think that discipline's there. You mentioned a word, Laurie, saying I found, excuse me, very interesting. You went, I sat in circle 8 years. If you said to someone today, to develop with spirit, you've got to set 2 years, a year, 18 months, 3 years, they look at you and go, no, I don't do that. It's a quick fix society. They want it now. That's the difference with our generation. We didn't have that. We did it, didn't we? You bet?
Yeah. We did do it. I mean, nobody ever said to me this is going to be 8 years, but as the engagement grew and as natural progression goes, you do change circles because that's what's needed for your development. So that was 8 years. Sat in, I don't know, probably about 5 different circles.
Yeah.
But I'm just quickly working it out here, so do bear with me. Times 12 times 8 divided by 7. Nope, that's totally wrong.
I'll teach you to be clever, wouldn't it?
Let's try that again. Times 50. 75 divided by 24. So on average, in a year in circle, you are sat for 3 days.
Yeah. I worked it out. If you worked it out over the year, if you did 2 hours each week, it's 8 a month.
Yeah.
8 12s, work the maths. It's not a long time we spend in circle.
Yeah.
We spend a lifetime out of circle relearning.
This is the area as well, isn't it? With the value of circles to encourage you to keep that work going, not only when you sit, so to encourage you to read. And a really big factor, and it's amazing how many from personal experience and others that I speak to, where we encourage sitters to go to I say go to a service. I don't care which church you go to or centre, but go and see other mediums working. Yeah. See how they work. Try and pick up on that energy. I'm not saying, interfere with the process, but, and just listen to the philosophy. And it's amazing how many, sadly doesn't happen. Sadly doesn't happen.
I think in 31 years that I've worked, and however many years I've got left working, I look at the pioneers, right? I look at the pioneers of spirit, and I look at the strong mediums, the old school mediums. Does that make sense? You know, Gordon Higginson, people like that. And the emphasis placed on learning and growing and circle development. Yeah. And I'm going to get myself in trouble, and it'd be interesting to hear everyone's view out there on this. I think a strong medium has a good grounding from circle. What I see of mediumship now isn't the same teaching. And you run a church, Laurie, you hear this. This medium's not as strong as that medium. Their mediumship isn't strong. I hear it, right? But you look at where they sat and how they sat, you know, and all the guys out here, and I can see Craig and I can see everyone on there and Phil, we all work with spirit. How many of us would give up a lot just to be able to sit back in circle right now as a working medium and regrow? I would.
Yeah.
I seriously would. I would go back tomorrow, because it's everything to me. You open that door to spirit, you have time, you have that discipline set aside to want to grow. And I think sometimes when we get to now, I mean, you know, we do DEMS, we do this, we do that. And I think sometimes I sit there and I say to myself, where's my mediumship going? You know, where is it going? How am I going to get there? What am I doing wrong? How can I improve? To me, I can ask them questions and spirit will act on it, or whichever. But if I had the chance to sit back in circle, I forget Bill Rich, the working medium. I get Bill Rich, the student who wants to grow and learn again. Does that make sense?
Very much, very much.
I would give everything to be able to have that.
Glyn Edwards went back to sit in open circles, etc., quite often. And of course, people are like, what are you doing in my circle? You know, you're Glyn Edwards. What are you doing in my circle? And he said it was good for him to go back and sit in these open circles so he could unlearn some of the nonsense that he picked up.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is to reconnect, because you said something there, and you know I'm pedantic about this word of medium now. So I'm not pulling a face here, I'm just scratching my eyebrows. This term medium, and sort of like trying to hone in, because we have some wonderfully gifted all-rounders who can get up and pull a prayer out of the air and just go, wow. They can deliver philosophy, which makes you go, OMG, that is awesome. And work with their evidential side and just bring in the most amazing pieces of evidence. But we're not all like that.
No, I think anyone, and I think everyone here tonight who's listening would agree. You, no matter where you are, you can appreciate and respect good mediumship. You hear, not only do you hear it, you feel it. You feel that connection, that bond, the evidence come through. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard, Laurie. It's hard. Where do we go with it? I don't know. I knew he was doing this talk, and I didn't get much notice on it, I must admit, but I was having a little think about things. And we've gone through demonstrations and clairvoyance. We've entered this era of mental mediumship, right? Whereas before, right, from really going back, you had sittings with spirit, not a reading. You had a sitting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that was so different. Why? Because when you had a sitting, the medium would clear this mind, get rid of the ego. The mind would be influenced by spirit. They would enter an entranced state, and they would have communication with your loved one on a very, very deep level. You could walk away and say, I walked out and I was talking to my mother tonight, or my father. How did they do it? They spent years practicing. It wasn't always church services. They were home circles as well. Not just church circles. They were home circles. And they created the platform for spirit to enhance and train that medium to be able to work that way. Right? This day and age, what I see with the teachings is we teach them the evidential mediumship is what the banner we'd like to use, but they work more from the psychic side, or they will work from what I call loose evidence. I've got your nan here, little lady, grey hair, she's saying hello to you. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't a pop at anyone. You know, them kind of circles created the opportunity for spirit to say, we will train you. And people were prepared to be taught by spirit. That, I think, is a big difference in this day and age now.
Mm.
Do you agree? Whether people agree with me, I don't know, but...
Yeah. No, there's some good thoughts in there, Bill. But you did mention something very key to my thinking at the moment is about home circles and the value of those. We've seen since the COVID era, many mediums stepping back from working, doing DEMS and doing services because they are focusing on their home circles. And this is not a financial thing. This is because that's where they feel drawn.
Yeah.
Very much of late, the topic of home circles and the value of them over and above church-led circles, because, you know, sadly, we do see occasionally, you know, I was taught, I've got 3 stages of development. I've got my initial, okay, dead people can talk to us, how does this happen? Then I go on to that start of becoming aware and starting to learn the disciplines and starting to understand why, and then go on to the more advanced about the communication. We do seem to be skipping the first couple of steps to begin with.
Yeah.
And straight in there, I see what are they called? Open circles being advertised. Come along to the open circle and work with your evidential mediumship or give messages. And I'm like, well, you know, my circle leader in my open circle, if I dared to try and do a communication, she'd be down on me like a ton of bricks, because I just had to sit in that open circle. I had to meditate. I had to sit. I had to still the mind and still the body and still the thoughts. And if she thought that I was going out to commune with spirit, she would go nuts at me. But home circles, I did sit in a few home circles at a very early age. And do you know what? They were exciting. They were really exciting times, these little home circles. And the things that happened in there were amazing. But we weren't sat in these home circles. There was no premise whatsoever to put you on a platform or get you out doing private sit-ins or anything like that. That wasn't anywhere in the energy.
Nope. I totally agree.
With spirit.
Yep. I sat with my first circle leader, and when I sat with my first circle leader, the onus was on to develop and work with spirit. Yeah. So we were concentrating along the lines of evidential mediumship because it was an intermediate circle to go eventually to platform. Yeah. That was the thing. And I was out 2.5 years, 3 years working, whatever it was. And I come across a lady, we become friends, and I sat with her in a home circle. There were 3 of us. I learned more out of that home circle that was so beneficial to me, because the onus wasn't on creating a message, delivering a message, public presentation, nothing whatsoever. She was a trance medium, and originally she was going to help me develop my trance side. She would go into a very deep state, a beautiful connection with a guide called Chan, lovely guide, very knowledgeable. But Laurie, did I sharpen up my clairvoyance in a way that I couldn't in my first circle? I watched how the energies build. I could see them. I watched when she went in a trance, how the guides would come in, right? I learned so much it sharpened me up in a way that has still stood stead to this day. It still stands good with me. Does that make sense? Because I went back to that. Now, that was a home circle. And I think home circles, they are the backbone of spiritualism.
I'll just be interested with everybody watching online tonight, here live tonight. Obviously, if you're watching this in 2 months' time, please don't answer because I won't be reading it. But how many people have had experience of home circles? I'm not decrying the churches or centres. We have a task to do. We've got a very good education program here that's ever evolving within the church. But I do see a great value. You know, to have a church circle, you've got to get all the names down. Ideally, what we're doing here at Paul, we're running our circles in courses of 6 to 8 weeks. You pay up front, sadly, because, you know, it's not a drop-in, drop-out circle. It's got a goal, it's got a purpose, and it's got a structure to it. But the home circle, you know, and then you've got to get somebody there to open up. You've got to get somebody to turn the heating on. You've got to be somebody there to be responsible. So there's quite a lot going on in the energies to be able to get people sit. Whereas your home circle, you know, this is in somebody's, they're opening up their home to friends and to spirits.
Yeah.
To just sit in that time. Yeah. And just to be and to enjoy. So anybody out there listening tonight, you know, if you sit in home circles, any of your experiences, if you don't sit in home circles, you're not even sure how, here's a good question. How do you set up a home circle?
Yeah. Yeah. It would be interesting to see some of the comments come back, because let's go back in time. We had hide wrappings, didn't we? Yeah. Right? The Hydesville, yeah? And it showed that spirit could communicate series of raps and knocks. You would agree, yeah? There wasn't churches and there wasn't circles at that time. But mediums sat at home, didn't they? And said, right, okay, we know you can communicate. And from a series of raps, you suddenly got mediums who deep trance, physical mediumship, right? They started to be trained by spirit. They were in home circles first off, Laurie. Then it come to the church where it become, you know, as in church circles. But you had incredibly powerful teachers, and the onus then at that time was spirit. People needed, we got the sounds, the raps and the knockings. Then we got the visual, the manifestations, ectoplasm, stuff like that. That become part of the norm. Then you got evidential mediumship started to come in. You know, mum or dad would speak through the medium. And you had this quality of mediumship. So where it started from, that first come into the church, and that's where they started to really bring home the need to sit with spirit. But it started originally from home circles, didn't it?
Indeed.
So home circles have a place.
You know, and you just raised an interesting thought there. We often go back to the turn of the century as the explosion within the movement. You know, we had physical seances going on left, right, and centre. We had trumpets flying around. We had apparitions and everything going on. But at that time, we didn't have the churches. So all this came from home circles.
Grounding.
Leslie Flint is a prime example. You know, his circle sat for, oh gosh, I think it's something like 14 years. Some fantastic time to develop him to get that direct voice.
Exactly. Didn't he sit for 7 years before he actually got first voice?
Yeah, I would not be surprised. Would not be surprised.
Something like that, yeah.
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 Got a question here from Julie. Well done, Julie. As I said, never be afraid to ask a question. What's the difference between physical and evidential mediumship?
Evidential mediumship is mental mediumship, as in communicating with spirit to give a description. Evidential mediumship about someone, but it's done on an oral form, as in words. Physical mediumship is sitting with spirit and allow spirit to produce a substance which they call ectoplasm to build. It comes from the medium and it will actually take the shape of someone that is recognized on a visual level. And they can build ectoplasmic voice boxes as well and speak through the medium or through the trumpet. Big difference. Very, very, very much. I would love to see that come back again, physical mediumship. Mm-hmm. But sadly, it's another one, and often developed in private home sittings, and often developed in the home circles. We keep coming back to that home circle. Yeah. It was an interesting fact. I've got to say this because it's a great question. I think people think that you can sit in circle to become a medium, right? Mm. That circle leader can make you a medium. And I don't think they can make you a medium. They can show you the ropes and everything. So here's a little analogy, and laugh at me if you will. I've broad enough shoulders, I'll take it. Right? I think anybody can be taught to do something. I was a bricklayer. I could take anyone out there and show them how to lay bricks. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether acceptable or not, you are in essence laying bricks. A circle, when you sit in circle, you are taught the foundations, the building blocks of your mediumship in whatever form it takes. But I can't make you a medium. As I say, I can't make you a good bricklayer. So what is the difference? It's the want, the will, and the desire to do that, to sit endlessly, sometimes months, years, sitting in that power, sitting with spirit to develop. Why? Because spirit made the medium. And it's through all them experiences of sitting in circle that they create the medium. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I really do believe that. Truly.
And also the definition of medium, because probably the greatest inquiry line I have here through the church, and I'm not being dismissive or rude or offensive, is about what I would term as development circles. Now, to me, to just sit with spirit and see how that unfolds. You know, if you go into I had a lady, and I will repeat this one because I've been sat in circle now for over 10 years and my mediumship's just not got any better. What's wrong? And I said, well, whoever told you you were an evidential medium?
Yeah.
You know, what a shame. You've had all that 10 years. Imagine if you just said to spirit,
here I am.
Show me.
Yeah.
Show me. Lovely, Marion. Good evening, darling. So nice for you to join us. And she's echoing in a way your words from just now. I sat at home circle for around 14 years. 1 hour sitting in the power, sharing what we experience at the end, or to speak during, if impressed to do so, opening and closing prayers, invaluable sharing of knowledge over a cuppa and eat. I like that bit. Cuppa and eats. Yeah. Blessed indeed. And yeah, thank you, Marion, because you're bringing in another train of thoughts here.
That is dedication. But there's a key word in what Marion has said, sitting in the power.
Yeah.
And my circle leader, when I first went in the circle, I was expected to do nothing but to be part of the circle. Because sometimes just sitting in that power, how much spirit are working on your senses, making you aware. making you sense, making you alert. And we use a word. I've got to say this. I've never really said this. We talk about this day and age about well-being. You know, well-being for this, well-being for that, and we sometimes think it detracts away from what spiritualism is about. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to go into details of my life, but most people would know that was what I was. I found Circle the greatest well-being that I could ever find. First time in my life, it brought peace to within me and my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that was the healing of spirit. Do you know when I first become aware of that, Laurie? By sitting in Circle in the first few weeks of just sitting in that energy, being part of it. And I thought, I feel better. This is what I want. That's the importance of sitting. Excuse me, frog in the throat.
That's all right. No, it's fine. And as I say, Mariam brings in also another train of thought here about invaluable sharing of knowledge over a cuppa and eats. Do you know what? This time, when we first started coming online, I'm going to talk from my experience in 2020 for obvious reasons. And just starting these talks, and we had started off with a whole range, a whole gamut of different practitioners, different understandings, philosophies. But I and people in the room tonight and new people who have joined since then just found this, wow, we can actually talk about, our understanding of spiritualism. We can agree, we can disagree. We are allowed to disagree and actually still talk to each other afterwards. We don't have to take to a public post on Facebook and say, I've been wronged, woe is me. Yeah.
How's it go, Laurie?
No,
I'm impressed with that.
I only do one show night. But yeah, and we talk with people and start to share this knowledge. And this was one of the keystones of the home circles. We talk about the old school mediums. And for those watching, not quite sure what the hell you're talking about, Lawrence. And we're talking about mediums who were on the circuit and working in like the 40s, 50s, 60s era, around about then. That would be what we would term the old school mediums.
Yeah.
We talk about them with a great reverence because they would work their little socks off. They would hold marvelous addresses. They would hold marvelous demonstrations. There was a healthy competition between them. They would get together and sit in circle together themselves. Yeah. But they all grew from that home circle environment, that intimate space where we could actually just talk, and we weren't being open to ridicule. We weren't being open to derisory comments or egos or whatever, because we just sat with spirit.
Yeah.
And that spawned this whole era of mediums that today we look back and, you said yourself, why don't we see what we used to see in the past? Well, because the way our development has gone and probably our aspirations of what mediumship is, as I say, and I do keep on with this, because I'm seeing other people now using this same terminology, like evidential medium, healing medium, to just start to go, well, hold on. A medium is just everything. Let's talk, are you going to be an evidential medium? Are you going to be a philosophical medium? Are you going to be a healing medium?
Yeah.
And just start
It's an interesting point you're bringing up here. Let's look at it as if we were spirit. Yeah. Let's just put ourselves in the opposites, right? We're not the mediums. We are actually in spirit. We've got to find a pool, right, of the future mediums. Does that make sense?
Mm.
We're looking. Spirit know how and who's got abilities, potential, whether, like you said, Laurie, healing, philosophy, evidential, trance, physical, whichever, yeah? But there was something in them days where if people had, I don't know, goings on around them, they sensed things, they thought they saw something and they were unsure, they could go to a church and you would have the awareness group, which was not a closed circle. It was open to everybody. There was a non-committal to it. You didn't sign up to it. You didn't have to attend, but you had a very, very experienced medium who could say, yes, darling, that's fine. That's normal. That's spirit. What you're sensing is this. This is the aura. This is the peripheral line. There's an answer to it. Does that make sense? And that person goes away and thinks, you know, that makes sense. And it gets a bit stronger. Then they come back and they say, can I sit in this? Yeah, you can come here as much as you like. That medium then is saying, do you know what? They've actually got quite a bit of ability.
Yeah.
Let's just say you run the beginner circle, Laurie, and I run the awareness. And I phone you and say, Laurie, I've got a person here I think might be very beneficial for you and for them to be in your group, yeah? So you invite them. They show fantastic abilities and potential. You then pass them on to an intermediate or at the next level. Does that make sense? Yeah. There was this helping and guiding all the way down that suited and everyone's needs. That was our generation. We wasn't in a hurry. If I had to sum my generation up, we weren't in a hurry, right? We just wasn't in a hurry. But Lola said on one of her comments just a minute ago that they run their circles, but people don't want to commit, Laurie.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we're going to get round that, because I'm going to say this, and I'm doing a workshop tomorrow. I'm going to get myself in trouble. No matter what I teach them in a workshop tomorrow, and that's all aspects of trance, by the way.
No, that was today, your workshop.
Tomorrow. Yeah, go on. Right? Right. Please, friends, I'm going to shoot him in a minute, yeah? Right? You're going to see him possessed, right? By a cat. What do I teach them? They can have a fantastic day tomorrow and experience different things and go, yeah. But if they're not prepared to put themselves out to go to a circle to develop their aspects of what they've shown, yeah, and commit to it, they're not going to learn the way that they should learn. Commitment is everything. Circle leader will give you commitment, but will the students give commitment back? That's the big thing. So I agree with Lola. It is hard to get commitment from people.
Yeah. Yeah. And good evening, lovely Lola. So looking forward to Christmas. They're over here for Christmas. This is so exciting. Anyway. You know, there is something interesting in the whole energy of this comment about it takes a lot of work to become a medium. So maybe we might give a thought to how we, you know, this is going to sound a terrible, awful, earthly financial term, but it's the only word that I can sum up at the moment. How do we market our circles? You know, are we presenting our circles with the view to making you an evidential medium? In which case we are opening up the door to then people going, 8 years, I'm not doing that, you know, and that's fully understandable because they've come in on that energy of becoming an evidential medium. So is there the opportunity there to start presenting our circles in a different light of just saying, you know, we're going to sit with spirit and see what unfolds, you know? And if you get people approaching you saying, yeah, well, I want to be an evidential medium, and say, well, you know, and actually being brave and just saying, well, this may not be the circle for you then, because we're not going to introduce a timetable, we're not going to introduce an end goal, because we're just going to say, listen, we're going to sit with spirit and see what unfolds.
Yeah.
And we're inviting you to be part of that. And if you're of the mindset to try that, then we're not coming in with expectations, and we're not, presenting expectations for people. It's just for that opportunity just to sit and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. But you got
yes, very, very quickly. Yes, we do understand your Danglish, darling.
I think one of the factors, there's a number of factors that come into play now. And for want of making enemies, so be it, I'll say it because I will speak my mind on this. You get mediums that they say they're mediums, and I mean this, they say they're mediums. They've sat in a group or done so many weeks or a couple of workshops, yeah, right? And they come out and they declare themselves a teacher, right? And there's, how many workshops I sat in? Really? I've sat in 20 workshops this year. What have you learned? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's no personal growth. It's everyone's different interpretation of teaching. But they come out because there's a money aspect of it, Laurie. And that is where everything is driven now with them. And if I'm going to get myself in trouble for this, then I'll take it on the chin. We all have to earn a living. We all have to do things, right? I accept that. But when you've got people thinking, I'm going to gain a bit of knowledge, declare myself teacher, and then teach others, all you're doing is teaching bad teachings. They start off, and within 6 weeks, that person who's running that circle is putting them up as fledglings. So I think the churches can control it better.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. I think the churches could do a lot to stop this and help. That mediums who run churches, run circles in churches, have a proven record that they've been established and they've been working. It was one of the rules I brought in at my church, St Matthew's, many, many years ago when we were sorting something out with rulings, that a medium had to have 2 years working experience and it had to be validated.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they weren't allowed to teach within that circle. And I think that's another way that the churches can play a role.
Yeah.
It's a way of looking at it. But with all the people out here tonight, we all have our own way of working, spirit, our links and that. And it would be interesting to say to people, if you had the chance to sit tomorrow, regular basis, in a well-run, disciplined group to enhance your own abilities, how many of you out there would take it? I'd love to see the answer to this.
Yeah, I would.
I would.
And sitting in an environment that is unconstrained, because we constrain that energy. If we're going to say, right, this is a development circle, we're already putting a wall in.
Yeah.
And one in probably, I don't know, 5,000 would have the ability there. And we're not talking now about the dedication, the drive and whatever, but they may have the ability there to make a competent evidential medium. And you've got a circle of 12 people, and so the law of averages says, that if that ability to be a competent evidential medium isn't within your energy at this time, then this is where the ructions are going to start, because I'm not getting what I want. Leslie Thomas, hello, darling. How are you? It's a long, long time since I heard your name. Good evening. I agree with all you're saying, Laurie and Bill. Sat in circle for 7 years for development and 6 years in the physical circle. Sadly, I think the best of spiritualism as a religion, philosophy, and science has been spoiled, as even some tutors are not advanced enough to teach, and students are not sadly dedicated enough to give their time. However, there are a few tutors and students with high standards still, and you only have to sit in a service to watch and listen to know that spirit.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Do you remember I said to you a long time ago, Laurie, you can hear spirit's voice. You can. I'm going to kill you one day, right? You won't kill me next year. I believe you can hear spirit speak, right? When someone does an address, you can hear the content of spirit in it. When someone delivers a message, you can feel that communicator coming through that medium to deliver that message. It's got empathy, warmth, love. It has everything. Yeah, I totally get what Leslie's saying there. Yeah, it's tutors now. How am I going to put this? It's almost like a conveyor belt. We're on the bandwagon, chunk, 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 and put out. Well, they're putting out. I asked a question: will they be around in 30 years' time? Will they stand the test of time?
Here's an interesting line of thought that's just appeared. My grandmother made the best apple pie in the world. Whenever we went up to Balham, it was always it's a triple treat, because we had the drive up there, which we enjoyed, 3 boys in the back of a car throwing things and throwing up in the back of a car for 3.5 hours, always a joy. Go and meet our grandma, who always shook your hand and stuck a bit of money in there, and grandma's apple pie. Now, my mum used to tear her hair out. She had my grand's recipe, and she kept serving up these apple pies and going, no, it's not Nana's. No, it's not Nana's. Then a sister-in-law had the same recipe. No, not Nana's. No, not Nana's. I've got the recipe. Guess what? Not me Nana's. Because it was unique.
Yeah.
And I wonder now, if you take that wonderful example of apple pie, because I can taste it and it's lush.
Cool, Claire, send you.
When we look at our teachers, is there maybe a bit of this energy where there's actually nothing new being taught, but I'm learning something I've been to one of your courses, Bill, and I've had all the therapies afterwards, thanks, so I'm all right now.
What do you mean, my guides let you actually come in?
Sorry.
I'm going to get new guides.
I've been to one of your courses, and there was a couple of salient points on there that really stuck in my mind. Now, if I'm going to take those points away and then start including them into a workshop that I may take, am I starting to get into my grandma's apple pie energy here? Because that was your teaching. That was pertinent to you. That was direct from spirit, through spirit, to spirit.
Yeah.
And if I try to emulate that and copycat that, I'm going to lose something in the translation. Sure.
Of course you are. Yeah. Yeah. You can you can always learn from another person. Right? The lesson is there, the recipe's there. But take the recipe, you know the recipe works, but enhance it. Exactly. Don't make it Granny's one, make it Laurie's one.
Yeah.
So when I eat your apple pie, right, I say, God, that's great. I'll give us the recipe. I make it. Someone will go, I ain't like Laurie's, because you've got your own uniqueness. And that, I'm afraid, is the word uniqueness.
Yeah.
We're not robots. We've got this uniqueness about us, our own spirituality, and spirit use that. What is the aim of circle? Right? The aim of circle is to teach, bring them on so that they come out better than you.
Yeah.
Right? Then take the teachings on. Their uniqueness has a twist, an angle. Their mind is influenced by spirit. They will see something in a different light, and they will enhance and embellish that. And people go, God, that was so good. They learn it from you. That is the embellishment and growing aspect of it that I like the rest of it, Laurie. Create and make your own. Make yours own it.
Yeah. And this is what we should be looking at in our, to me, my definition of a good teacher is somebody who opens doors for me. It is not somebody who critique my work, absolutely, but not, and I've seen this, verbally destroy what you're doing. And I have seen this, sadly, on a couple of occasions. Working on that energy of, I tear them down and then I rebuild them. And I think that is, that is such a dangerous practice, because you don't know what inner conflicts you're going to release like that.
I think there is said that uniqueness, right? Sorry to cut across you. There's something you said with uniqueness. Spirit.
You were sorry, you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, right. Get your own back. Spirit are unique as well. Your guides are unique.
Yeah.
Your communicators are unique. There's this uniqueness right the way through, from medium to spirit to recipient. That uniqueness remains. Is there a desire to people to sit in circle, to go to platform? I don't think there is so much. What I've noticed is there's a desire to create their own spiritual wellness, well-being, increasing their own awareness of spirit for their self, right? They want to be able to feel spirit. They want to be able to connect with spirit. They want to be able to sit in the power. They want to meditate. They want these abilities, but they don't want to go and demonstrate that.
Yeah.
And I can live with that, Laurie.
Yeah.
I can live with that every day of the week, because they go, yes, I can feel mum, I can feel this, I can feel that. But at some point, spirit will use it. They'll pick up for someone else. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And they'll see the benefit of that gift. That might be then the encouragement for them to take it to the next stage. I remember saying, there's no way are you going to get me standing up on platform, talking to dead people and giving them to the live people. They were my words I used. Boy, have I ate humble pie now. Not apple pie, humble pie. Yeah. They got you there, didn't they?
Somebody said to me, you'll be running this church one day. And it's after the watershed now. And I said, not bloody likely. Ta-da.
When are you going
to start? Celia!
Want me to kill him?
Just hit him.
That was direct voice, by the way.
Direct frying pan in a minute.
Yeah.
Lovely Jen Stevenson. Hello, Jen. You right, darling? I sat in a home circle with a physical medium for some years, and the things we experienced were wonderful. She has since passed over, but she taught me to have respect for the spirit world. Good point. Good. We do, don't we? And we hear it. The spirit world do this. I ask the spirit world to do that. I tell the spirit world to do, and you're just like, whoa, hang on. What is this spirit world that you're talking to? What is this impersonal conglomerate energy that you're manifesting with your own words? I know I'm nosy, and spirit work with me in a way that I have worked hard to get to, but we mutually respect each other. And I like to have a personality and an identity. So when I'm working, I'll be talking to Manny, my gatekeeper. I'll be talking to Izzy, my philosophy guide. I'm not talking to spirit. This is not a balloon on the end of a bit of string on the end of my arm. I'm talking to a person, and I respect that person. And I respect, the fact that they come and work with me for whatever reason. I don't know what they've done, but they're paying for it now. But anyway. But it is about that respect and each communication. I'm not up there in the mindset, right, bring the next. You know what? I've heard some awful phrases being used at this time of electronic. You know, I'm going to dispatch this person back to heaven. And I'll just think, my God, you know what? I'm going to be a message one day. And if other mediums say that about me, they'll be falling off their damn table.
Yeah. Do you know one of the areas I love working with, and you know, if we got strengths and fortes, we all know what we like doing, and I love teaching my guides, and I've done it with you, yeah, right, because they come in as strangers, but they become friends, right, and spirit are not strangers; they're friends. Their sole purpose is to bring comfort, guidance, help via you and to you. One of the very few friends that you can have, you say, I really need some help, and they will give. And they will give unconditionally. They will never walk away from you, never betray you. That is friends. The one thing I have issues with is, going to get in trouble again, who would you like to come through? You tell me, I'll go and get them. Right? And I've seen that done. And I think to myself, if I'm in spirit and I've got all this eternity of love and light and freedom, I ain't going to be bossed around by someone down here saying, you've got to come forward. Does that make sense? You know, so respect.
We're going to agree to disagree here, because I've seen that demonstrated. And with the evidence, because I'm a spiritualist, because I deal with evidence.
Yep.
With the evidence that came through supporting that communication, I've just got to say, well, evidentially, yeah. And I know the difference between, got your granny here, she loved cooking. You know, oh, she was always in the kitchen. Well, quelle surprise, everybody's granny was always in the damn kitchen, except the one that didn't hated it. That would be the one to say, I got your granny here and she hated cooking. So, yeah, I think sometimes we put our own human emotions onto the spirit. So we're going to agree, disagree there. Tony Goswell. Lovely, Tony. Great discussion this evening. Thank you, darling. Checks in the post. I often get frustrated as people don't commit the way of life as a medium. Do you think it's our way of life that gets in the way of our own commitment? Do you think it's our way of life that gets in the way of our own commitment? How can we encourage this?
Not quite sure I understand the question on this one, Laurie.
Right, let me do that again. I often get frustrated as people don't commit to the way of life as a medium. Do you think it's the way of the life of the medium that gets in the way of their commitment?
Yeah. I think the life of a medium is about commitment. Yeah. I've got to say, and I agree with Tony on this, yeah. When you're a medium, you're committed to doing what you're doing. And I think there's got to be a balance between the mediumship and your material world. You know, you can't let the material world influence your mediumship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? There has to be a dividing line. I've seen people display fantastic abilities, ready to come in circle, or they're in circle, but their material life has got in the way. And the spiritual life has had to be put to one side so they grow through their material. Now, me, I'm as rough as you can get, as you quite often remind me, Laurie, yeah? Right? I'm down to earth. I'm the bloke next door. I can laugh, swear, all these things. But the moment I step into medium shoes, that side of me's gone.
Yeah.
You work in a respectful way, because you're working with people's feelings, emotions, and you're working with spirit, right? And that side of my life is there. But if I've got a lot of things going on, like last year, Laurie, 5 or 6 times I was in hospital. At one time, I didn't think I was going to be here. Yeah. I said my goodbye to my missus, who was sitting in the back here, yeah? I didn't think I was going to get through it. If I'd have come out and said, oh, you've got platform tomorrow night, there's no way I could do it. You've got to be able to realise I cannot fulfil truthfully and honestly, my role as a medium with what I've got going on in my life at the moment. And I would say, no, I'm putting my spirit side aside. I need to deal with this. When my mind is right, my body hopefully, then I'll pick the shoes up a medium and go and do it again. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all know what spirit can do to help us. But I do agree that our material life can affect our mediumship. You know, and a wise person would realize, actually, I'm not working as strong as I was because my mind is more focused on what's going on around me than what I'm doing up here on the platform. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and also if you're fortunate enough to have a well-rounded tutor, teacher, mentor, whatever you want to call it, is to help you understand that actually what you're going through in your physical life at this time is part and parcel of your development, because our mediumship, our connection with the spirit world is to live this life. You know, and spirit are with me when I'm chairing, when I'm working as a medium, when I'm working as a healer, when I'm walking down the road, when I'm just talking to somebody, when I'm sat next to somebody on the train and just striking up a conversation, when I'm, staring down the barrel of a gun, metaphorically thinking, geez, how am I going to get around this? Oh my God, spirit is still there.
I think there's a question that you would be very good at answering this, right? And I think a lot of people would as well. Have you ever stopped to think that our life and experiences determine who we become as a medium? It's a good one to think on, that one, isn't it?
You bring in the empathy energy then.
Of course you do. If you experience pain, a loss, like, loss of a child, a loss of a loved one, traumatic, however it is, you have an understanding of empathy.
Yeah.
Right? The moment your mind, see, everything with mental mediumship is clearing the ego out of the way.
Yeah.
Clearing your mind out of the way and allowing your mind and spirit's mind to become one. So they may show you something in a way that you recognize.
Yeah.
Maybe nursing someone. And you're first thinking, oh yeah, I recognise this. Now your levels are dropped again. Your empathy with it, yeah?
Yeah.
Because that is what they will use, every experience. We remain in control, obviously, but they are the experiences of life. Our lives make us who we are.
Yeah, indeed. Depression.
Yeah.
I have gone through depression, and I know when I'm working, especially when I'm working as a healer, a hands-on healer, it's there. It's just, oh, okay. And that's not for me to get instant validation going, oh, you're suffering from depression. It's spirit telling me, right, this is where you need to be working. I don't share that with the person receiving. The lovely Tony Roberts. Good evening, Tony, all the way down from Cornwall. How are you, mate? Sitting in the power circle, I presume that the power is different when it is a healing circle because the vibration is lower than when in a mediumship, an evidential mediumship circle.
I don't believe it's lower. I don't agree with that at all.
This is it. It's words, isn't it? We get hung up on words, and we've got to be mindful of our words.
I think the power of a medium, a healing medium, and I've said it, you know this, Laurie, I've said it 1,000,001 times. The most powerfulest mediums that I know of are the healing mediums. They are the direct conduit straight through to the recipient. You're used as that called. Yeah. Is the power any different? It's sufficient to do what your job is to do.
Yeah.
Whether it be a healing, whether it be trance, physical, evidential, whatever it is, it's sufficient to do the job because energy is supplied by spirit.
Yeah.
That's my take on that one. Yours?
Yeah. No, I think we can sort of like trip ourselves up because we got that negative word of lower. So that instantly, the conjures up, I'm up here and you're down there. So I am superior, and it's not, I'm sure Tony is not bringing it over in that thought. Just a lower vibrate, I'm talking like this, or I can talk like this.
I prefer you with the deeper voice.
Oh, hello. Hello, honky tonks. But presume that the power is different when it is a healing. So, well, Tony, I'll agree with you to a point there and say the energy is different because you're working with a whole different team.
Yeah.
If you get 10 monks in a room, you're going to create this energy from those 10 monks. Then if you go in another room, you get 10 rugby players, you're going to get totally different energy. You've still got 10 people in there. But because of their background, because of their energy and focus, that's what's being portrayed. So, yeah, and even within my evidential mediumship, I feel here, but my philosophical talk, I feel down here. So yeah, there is a difference in the energy because you're working in with different groups. You're working in a different intent as well, a different mindset. If you're working to heal, you're clearing your mind to, get rid of, don't get the image of grow that leg back or come back from the dead or whatever. You just say, let me be that channel. Let me be that channel. But then if you're in an evidential mediumship setting, you're then engaging with spirit and you're trying to do this thing where you've got to clear your mind and have a conversation with spirit. Now, that is the paradox that we face. Empty your mind and then ask spirit, and you just think, whoa.
But that's really interesting. Really good point. I mean, I think that's a great question with Tony because it comes back to circle again.
Yeah.
Right? It comes back to circle. If you have healing mediums there, evidential mediums there, trance mediums there, physical mediums, I'm making this up, yeah? Spirit, harmonize. The first thing you're taught in the spirit when you're sitting in circle is that spirit will harmonize the energies, the harmonics of it, right? So that you feel uncomfortable. You say, that's too strong. That's too weak. That's just perfect, right? You're comfortable, spirit's comfortable, and the energies is created to do the task that is in front of you. Now, we know some fantastic healers, and I bet if you stuck 10 healers in that room, the energies would go off the scale.
Yeah.
If you stuck 10 evidential mediums there, it would go off the scale because they are of the same ilk. Does that make sense? They're harmonized to do that job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty of it. It's like, how many times, one of the lessons I was taught in circle, and we often hear, oh, I couldn't work tonight properly, the energies weren't right.
Yeah.
You don't create the energies.
Yeah.
Spirit creates the energies. What you create is your mental disturbance saying, I'm actually having a bad night tonight, I'm going to blame the energies.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So this harmonizing of energies. And I remember looking back on my own years of sitting in circle, I was taught that from a very early stage. You don't go onto that platform and create the energy. Spirit creates the energy because they're dealing with you as a singular entity.
Yeah. Not
the whole audience.
Yeah.
Really good lesson there it was.
Couldn't work tonight. That person was blocking me.
Yep. Yeah. They were sitting there with their legs crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about the bloke who's sitting in the circle with no legs?
That's for a reason.
Yeah.
Julie, another good question. Well done, darling. Do mediums use their clairs as well? I've listened to people who talk to spirit but are given songs and visions, etc. Is there a crossover as this is what I've seen up to now? Thanks.
Good one. Clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant. If spirit want to give on the clairs, they will find your strongest link.
Yeah.
The most common link, I'm going to be honest with Julie on this, The most common link that is used by spirit is clairsentient.
Yeah.
Sensing the spirit, sensing the identity, sensing the build, sensing the personality. It's almost as though I know.
Yeah.
Right? It's the most common link. Clairaudient hearing is unique because it's very clear and very precise. And can I give a demonstration? Yeah, just an example.
Go on, then.
You'll get someone who will say, do you know, I feel this lady would be this high. I feel this lady would be this. I sense this is about the person. They're working from the clairs. They're working from that clairsentient.
Yeah.
Evidence through clairaudient is very different. It's very clear, precise. I am your mother. I am with you. You was at my bedside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's clairaudient. It's controlling of the mind. The words are put down and you repeat. So you've got these different clairs. And when you say given in songs and visions, spirit have, when you clairvoyance, you're talking mental mediumship, an image. And it can be there very quickly. And if you say to spirit, that was good, show it to me again, they can show it to you again. So spirit can use vision to do something with someone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like writing songs and visions and that. Yeah, I do believe that they can come through in that way. Right? Is there a crossover? No, I don't think it's a crossover. I think it's a natural link that they find the strongest at that time to deliver what they need to deliver to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Julie, the mediums are using, they have the ability to use all their clairs, and I think there's 7 in total. But it's up to the medium. Have they worked on it to develop it, and is it in their ability to use that? I get occasionally the clair olfactory, the scent.
Yeah.
And halfway through, I go, oh, I smell cigarettes.
Yeah,
My God, I can really smell cigarettes, you know, and this is so strong. So, yeah, your clairs are just a definition, a breakdown of what path your evidential mediumship comes into your awareness.
Yeah.
So is it coming through as a vision? Am I seeing it? Am I just sensing it or just knowing it like somebody else's memory?
Yeah.
Am I hearing it? You know, gosh, I'll see mediums say, oh, they're telling me. And I think, oh, I wish my lot would tell me so. I would love a voice in my ear.
Have you ever sat in circle? And to you, Laurie, yeah? Because I know me and you are great mates anyway, yeah? And we talk all the time. We talk about things and all the lovely people on here tonight. So here's one for you. I got paid to say that, by the way, right? Yeah. This is for all you guys out there. Whether you've been in circle or you're sitting indoors, how many times in circle, for argument's sake, this is the circle, you're within it. And you keep looking at the circle. Something's drawing you to outside the circle. You're not quite sure what the image is because you don't see it, but you sense it, right? And you say, what are they doing? They're working and testing. This is the beauty of circle. They test how you respond to it. And if you respond and acknowledge it, they make it stronger. But there was a good friend of mine once said to me, when people say, yes, spirit are telling me this, your mum's telling me that, your mum's telling me this, blah, 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 right? What's my mum's name? Oh, she's not telling me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're not giving me her name, but you're telling me my mum's saying this, my mum's saying that. I think the benefit of circle is that it teaches you what links you're working from, right? Yeah. And if someone like you said can say, I can hear, fantastic. And if they say I can see visually with my own eyes, brilliant. But spirit of working with you on the link that is best suited to you at this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. And again, it's a reflection there of that medium's own progressive path. That's, you know, if spirit can tell you X, Y, Z, well, actually, you know what? They can probably tell you their name as well. But our own our own, that little example we had that night a little while back, and that name came out just in conversation. It wasn't as a direct response to a question posed.
Yeah.
It was just something was said, and the name was in there.
Yeah.
And you went, "That's the name." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's very clever." Lovely Lola. Hello, Lola. Not long now, Lola. That's what I know. That's one of the big dangers. A couple of workshops and then out teaching. How can we elevate mediumship to the new generation of mediums if so many teachers have no experience or deep knowledge or understanding?
Ooh, that's a hard one, isn't it? That is a hard one.
We've been talking about it.
Yeah, I think
Going back to open circles. Home circles, sorry.
Home circles. I think the mediums out there, right, who a couple of workshops out there teaching, you've got to somehow help them. They've got to find something where they can say, I need to improve, I'll ask. I think that's the danger, Laurie, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
They get to this mindset of, I'm out there, I've made it, but they can't ask for help. If anyone phoned me up and said, I'm a working medium, and I don't profess to know me, all I know is I know enough to know I don't know everything, yeah? And if someone said to me, I'm having problems with this, can you help me? I would be willing to help them, Laurie, yeah?
Yeah.
Because they're your next generation. Does that make sense? And I think this is where they've got to learn a little bit of humility, right? You learn a couple of workshops, you're not a teacher.
Yeah.
And then you're out there teaching. If they want to learn, then sit in a home circle with someone who's willing to teach them.
Yeah.
Right? Sit in a church circle where you can go. And I think Lola, bless her, she's got the right thing there. You're looking at a new generation of mediums.
Yeah.
And the question is, and you could be all night on this one, what are the next generation of mediums? There's nothing, how can I put this? I don't think there's anything new in spiritualism. Yeah. I don't think there's anything new, Laurie. We can rename it, we can rebrand it, but it's still the same essence. It comes from source. No matter which way you brand it, it comes from source, it comes from spirit, it comes from the divine, whichever way. Yeah? I think people need to bring back the divinity of what we do. Right? Definitely need to bring back the divinity of it. It's not message, it's understanding that there is God, there is creation, there is heaven, as Keith says. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Bring the divine back to it.
Yeah.
You know, that is
I'm
very
100% with you on that. That has been lost. Oh, this is going to be a long night, folks. So, if you want to phone up Just Eat and get burgers delivered, because that's fine. Carry on.
If you're going to do that, I'm having a fag.
Yeah, acknowledging the divinity within. I'm very passionate about spiritualism.
Yeah.
Because everything is of an evidential basis in my spiritualism world. There is that thread of evidence because it acknowledges that divinity within. I do get a little bit frustrated at times when things are appending themselves under the banner of spiritualism.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a course being run where you're going to be doing these memory books, and just terminology. And I'm just going, that has nothing to do with spiritualism.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That has, and it's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing it. I don't give a monkeys what you do.
Yeah.
But it's not for me. It's not my grounding. It's not my teaching. It's not my philosophy. My philosophy is that in and through the divinity, we can access a whole host of things that make sense.
Yeah.
That have an evidential trail to it.
Exactly.
Not accept it on face value, and I tell you it works, therefore it does. Really? Anyway,
you hear just one little thing. You hear different things, right? Where people say, learn to work with spirit. I'm making this up. No, I'm not, because I know it's out there. Yeah, come and meet your spiritual dragon. Right?
please don't.
No, seriously. You know, whether I get slaved
I'm
with this,
serious as well. Please don't.
right? And you go, okay, what has that got to do with that person who's coming because they're grieving because they lost their mum?
Exactly.
You know, let's keep it real. That's a good one, isn't it? Let's keep it real. It is you are dealing with people who are in need, right? Whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, and spirit are using you as a tool, an extension of their love, compassion, and divine to help someone. You're dealing with people and emotions. You know, that to me is the important part. And that was one of the things I was taught in Circle. Again, we come back to Circle.
Yeah.
It was ingrained in me.
Yeah. So, yeah, Lola, the answer is, it's in that inception. It is in that teaching, you know, and it is marketed through the churches and centres. And I've learnt lessons. We've had a fantastic year here at Paul Church, including the lovely lady whose comment is on the screen here, coming all the way from Denmark. But it has led me to next year revising our schedule, because I've come that realization of, yeah, it's great to have these workshops with these brilliant practitioners. And I'm not saying that because they're here. I'm saying it because it's true. But I've failed because I haven't tackled the inception, the beginning, the fundamental. I've assumed that people have got this in them, and it's become evident in a few of the workshops. Actually, the very fundamentals of what we're about is absent. So to address that next year, we are changing our approach for our midweek services to incorporate, you know, absolute ground zero beginners. You know, provide that environment where you can come in and listen and learn and question. And then the next step up of just sitting in circle, you know, in an open circle. So you, without some of the constraints, but the basic formalities are still there, you know, because I've just realized that this is not being taught so well out there. And yes, it is bloody frustrating. You know, if you start off a circle with 20 people and after week 5, you're down to 4. Well, actually, have you looked at it this way? By week 5, you've got the 4 that actually may make a difference.
You got the right ones, the lucky ones, yeah.
You've got the ones there that actually are worthy of you. And, you know, I don't use this term arrogantly or selfishly. These are the ones who are worthy of the investment of your own time and energy in them.
Yeah.
You know, you've had it, I've had it, and I'm sure a lot of people on here have had it. You know, we stand there, somebody asking for help, and you bend over backwards to give the help, and then you suddenly realise that, you know, I may as well be talking to the cat because it just ain't going in. Anyway, moving on rapidly. Leslie Manning. Right, me and Leslie are ganging up on you now, Rich. Evening. I must admit, I do ask people who would they like to communicate with. I ask for that spirit to come forward, and they seem more than willing to come. But I ask, I never demand. We're going to cross over this one very quickly because we're detracting from the energy of the night.
I can get that. I know it's not an issue with that.
Yeah. I've seen it done 2 ways. I've seen it done, you know, what on earth is that person saying? Because it's just complete, and you said a really rude word then, is complete gobbledygook. But I have also seen it demonstrated with an evidential base and thought, you know what? I can't do it. Well, I've not tried it, actually. I'm to say I've just told myself I can't do it.
Yeah.
But for that person, it's worked. So good on you, Les.
Yeah.
Good on you, Bruce. Keith Morn. Do you need to study and research on mediumship and the criticisms levelled at mediums concerning cold and hot readings and wide generalisations?
No. Your circle leader will teach you that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. Circle leader will teach you the difference between a hot and cold reading, the difference between psychic and spiritual, and generalizations. I think it was Phil that said it earlier on, about when we were in circle, you had to be able to say, this is who I got, this is what they look like. You had to give evidence.
Yeah.
Generalizations, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, and the more you reading is never a substitute for experience. And experience you learn in circle.
Yeah.
Because you're taught the right and wrong way.
And you can get as much research in as you like, but it is for your own opinion at the end of the day. I'm always a bit shy of saying, well, I'm right in saying this, because by that inherent fact of I'm saying I am right, I am automatically saying somebody else is wrong. I'm right for me at this time. My belief at this time is centered around my understanding at this time is that, and we are seeing, and it's not to get drawn into the dramas of things. There's quite a few, there's enough damn dramas going on in this world, even outside of spiritualism, let alone what's going on inside of spiritualism.
Totally.
So, you know what? As you develop, you unfold, your awareness grows. You are going to start. If you come out of a church or a centre or a sitting or a den, and you don't feel enriched by that experience, that's something you need to sit with and find out why. What was that lacking?
Yeah.
And vice versa. If you walk out of a church, a centre, a sitting, or a den, and you feel enthused, if you feel positive, if you feel uplifted, again, another opportunity to sit and go,
yeah,
what was that inception there? And it's not down the route where I'm just seeing with some, come for a night of laughter and fun. I just think, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Come see the comedian.
Yes.
You said about learning what you learned from the year. I'm going to say this, because of health with me, I'm never sure what the next year is going to bring. That is how it is. I really don't. But I've actually, and Lawyer knows this because I've been talking to him, I'm actually going to write a book of some sort, not a thick book, a handbook sort of thing, a guidance book on circles, what to expect, how they should be run. It's going to be from my perspective, the way I was taught and the way I teach. So we all get missions with spirit, don't we?
Yeah.
The ideas created at your church, this idea with me, because I think if there's one thing we can learn from being dinosaurs, right? We got the experience. Let's leave something, a legacy behind us, some descript.
Yeah.
Let's give something back. And that's going to be my way of doing it.
Yeah. Jim Crowley, enjoying the chat. I like to keep it simple. Spirit universe will get the right match, person to mediums, etc. It's back to basics, I feel.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this energy about the home circle. Tonight's talk arose because in the space of literally 4 hours, there were 3 occurrences. I'd shared something, somebody had sent me a message, and then something was said in our divine service by the demonstrator that day. And it all revolved around home circles. And I went, right, well, once, fine, twice, okay, 3 times, right, I'm listening, I'll do it.
And then I phoned him up and said, I'm going to write this thing, didn't I?
Exactly. Yeah. I'd had those 3 convergences, And then talking to you, and you said writing a book about home circles, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
we're listening.
home and church circles, yeah.
Yeah, all right already. So yeah, I think because sadly we are going to see a shrinkage in the amount of churches, centres available to us.
Yeah.
We are going to also see a shrinkage in the events that those remaining will put on, because if you've got a Paul Church is 50 meters by 40 meters by 10 meters, so cubic feet to heat that is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if I had a circle of only 3 people, I'm probably going to have to say, right, it's £15 a head, because that's going to cover the gas to keep you warm.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a contraction as well of what groups are available in the churches. But in the spirit, the intelligence of spirit, yeah. So we go back home.
I would say, I mean, I can't quote facts and figures on this. Just a rough idea, I guess. There's probably 5 times, 10 times the amount of mediums in there is to teachers.
Yeah.
You know, you can find mediums everywhere, but try and find a circle. You got more chance of Laurie being able to cook an apple pie properly.
I'm going to rise to that bait rich. But no, I do feel that this is certainly an aspect that the intelligence of spirit is presenting to us. You know, that we have got this opportunity now, this reminder of the power of a well-run, disciplined, organised, I'm not saying organise it and take all the fun out of it, but it has to be set up with an intent, number one. I was called out a couple of years ago, and this is pre-2020, by a group. And I won't go into the ins and outs of what they said were going on, but they were saying, this has happened, we've done that, and we've done this. And I'm just thinking, is this a prank call? Have I got Radio London on the end of the phone here, or what? What's going on? And I said, what is your intent of your circle? Oh, we just get together and see what happens. Okay, yeah, I can go along with that. That's fine. I said, so who's running it? Oh, well, we just muck in. And I'm thinking, okay, now I'm beginning to see.
Blind lead blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, how is it run? Oh, we just sit and we chat. We may have a drink. Also, I'm just thinking, oh, geez. Okay, yeah, I'm beginning to see. Well, number one, dispel everything you just told me, because it's complete and utter nonsense. Yeah. Number two, stop playing with spirit.
Yeah.
Set yourself up. Say you sit at 7. And between 7 and 7:05, we sit in the choir after the opening prayer or protection or whatever way you want to do it. But you're just bringing in structure. Because if you're presenting yourself a load of lollygags to spirit, then spirit is going to respond on a similar vein and energy. And we don't want to commune with any spirit.
If I had to give advice like you've just given to anybody, whether they're starting a church circle, a home circle, yes, there's discipline. It is run to time. There is a certain codes that you have to adhere to in circle. They're rules.
Yeah.
Make them clear at the beginning so people know what they are. Write them out. Give them a copy. Right? It takes 5 minutes to print them out. But above all, never forget the best lesson you'll ever learn is one that's fun. Right? Never ever make it so it's no fun, because I speak personally for me, the more fun there is in it, the more I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
Right? But not to make it a comedy show. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I've never met anyone from spirit that has not had a sense of humour. Right? I've never met anyone like that. You get different characters, but make it fun. Learning should be fun, right? Because that's what it's about to me. If I go on platform It's fun to me because I enjoy embracing spirit. If I'm teaching, I enjoy watching their faces, watching how they're growing. My greatest memories, if I drop dead now, some of my greatest memories won't be me standing up on platform in front of people.
Yeah.
It will be the days I spent in circle, because you had this family, this creation of this unity. That's what it's about.
Yeah. I love this. Thank you, Klaus. What advice would you give to someone just starting up who's near 50 years of age?
Forget you're 50 years old.
Hmm.
Be the kid. That's what I would advise. Yeah. Enjoy it. Fun. That's what I would say. Wouldn't you, Laurie?
Very much.
50 years old, don't come into it.
Oh, shut up now.
Yeah. Okay, I'll shut up then.
No, carry on, Bill. You're the guest, apparently.
Really? I got blackmailed into this.
Yes, and I will use that again.
Yeah.
We have a gentleman, Klaus, of 92 who sits in circle with us. My thinking and always my thought of that is when you sit in circle to develop your spirit, you're developing that eternal part of yourself.
Yeah.
You are developing that part which will transcend the passing of your physical body. So 50 years old, 5 years old, 105 years old, nothing is wasted. No experience is wasted, no lesson unlearned. So just ensure the people where you are sitting and those that advise you have got a degree of intelligence about them. You know, I'm not telling you just got to believe something because it is. Well, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. If people are open to debate things with you and not dictate to you, you're with the right people. If you feel comfortable with those people, you're with the right people.
Yeah.
As I say, 50 years old, in the eternity of the eternal you, nothing. And that is what you're developing. So good luck, mate. Good luck. We look forward to hearing more from you, sir. Martine Jane, why are the mediums today not like the old ones? I think the respect for spiritualism and spirit is not as strong as it was, which I find sad.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I think the mediums of today could learn a lot of the mediums of the past. I think they had a respect. I think they had a decorum. They had a reverence in the way they presented. And they had a respect for what they were doing.
Mm.
You know, they had this deep respect. It was their life. It was their way. And I think spirit, you know, it's not as strong as it once was, Laurie. Do you agree?
I do agree. I think we're missing the point a lot. And I think that's coming about in our teaching because, again, where we've been talking tonight about the value of a home circle, you know, if you've got somebody who's running a really good little home circle, they may take a couple of quid off you or something like that. You know, just be mindful. I know people who run their own circles and they run a circle of 10 people every night, Monday to Friday, at £5 a head. We'll do the maths.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can see where the energy is. They're in their home. All right. I know we as mediums need to earn a living. I do get that. However, there's that line, a good home circle. There is no promise, there is no what's that word? Expectation of you suddenly standing up and producing messages to amaze and dumbfound the congregations. You are just sitting to develop your link with spirit and see what unfolds. Now, that was the basis of the old ones. Do you realise that's me and you as well?
I know. I just like the question by a friend who said, "What advice do you give to someone who's 50?" And I'm thinking I'm 62. Or whatever, you know.
Leave the room. How rude.
Yeah. I'd just like to touch on what Martine James just said there. A lot of the questions that's been given tonight, in a good circle, a lot of these questions are asked and given.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to say this. Yeah, I've got to say this to you. If anyone phoned up here from the guys on tonight, not that it would, but I'm running a circle. Can I join your circle, Bill? I don't say yes.
Yeah.
Spirits say yes or no.
Yep.
Right? They choose the people. They might say, "You need to get hold of that one. Ask them. We think this might be right." Yeah.
Yep.
They see something beyond my eyes. They see something that they know. Yeah. The first question I ask anybody: why do you want to sit in a circle?
Yeah.
Right? And often that first sentence, 2 sentences, tells me everything I need to know. Right? The thing you teach them in circle then is the respect for what you're doing. It's explained at the very early stages and reminded all the way through your time in circle, the respect. And you will have lessons from your circle leader as to mediums of the past. What was their strengths? Why were they strong in that? What did they excel at? I used to give them homework.
Yeah.
I used to give them homework. They hated me, but they loved it. They just like moaning. Be like, Laurie.
Shut up.
Infuriating, isn't it?
Celia, don't ask why, just hit him. I had to write out at least one A5 piece of paper on my observations of the service that I had to attend between each circle.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and after the circle, then we sat on a Tuesday night. So the following Tuesday, and do you know what? She used to sit there and bloody well read them. And I used to be mortified because at that time my handwriting was atrocious. It looked like I'd just got hold of a cricket, dipped it in ink, and thrown it in the. It's awful, but that was part of my development. We had to go, and she said, "I don't care where you go."
Yeah.
You know,
I set homework like you did.
Go for healing.
Yeah.
You know?
I gave them homework like you did, A5 or whatever, A4, whatever. Yeah, they had to write it out, yeah?
Yeah.
And let's say it was like, I made this up, I'm looking at Phil Shaw. Who is Phil Shaw? What is their strengths? What did they bring to the spiritualist movement? I'm making this up, Phil. Sorry, mate, yeah, but I just happen to see your name there, yeah?
You need more than an A5 for that.
And what they... right. You're copying it now, Phil, right? You're dead, mate.
Sorry, Phil.
They would give it to me, and I'd look at it, and I know it wasn't their writing.
Yeah.
They got it off a computer.
Yeah.
Right? And they go, I say, "That's off a computer." "No, it ain't." "Yes, it is."
Plagiarise.
"No." And I'd go, "There you go. There's the bit of paper." And I'd rip it up. Right? And say, "Now start again. Go and do it again next week. You've got 2 lots. And it used to make them use this.
Yeah.
Oh, find. That's the difference. I used to love it. I used to hate my circle leader doing it to me, but...
And we didn't probably have that attitude, you know, this is something, a little thought that's been bubbling around my head through this conversation. also of if you are paying a fee to go to a circle, you are then sort of like becoming the customer. And as the customer, you have certain expectations of the level of service that you would expect for your fee.
Yeah.
Now, when you go and sit in a home circle, come on around, Bill. We sit every Monday night. There's 4 of us. Just stick a couple of quid in, cover the teas and coffees. What's left over at the end of the year, we stick in a charity jar.
Yeah. We'll
All
go
right.
for it. Yeah.
And you're going to come in with a total different to, oh, Bill, there is a space just come up in my circle. It's £8 a night and I want it up front. It runs for 5 weeks. So that's 40 quid I want off of you. And we say, hey, you're then coming in that energy of consciously or not as a customer. And I wonder if that sometimes does present additional obstacles that are probably not apparent to us.
I think there's a very fine line here. If, for argument's sake, you haven't got the facilities in your own home to run a circle,
yeah,
then you got you approach a local church for whatever reason. The church says no, but you're still driven to teach. Yeah. Then you say, right, okay, I'll go down to the local place, whatever. I'll hire a room. Now you've got initial outlay. Yeah. Right. And you've got to pay for that hire of that room. And those that come through and say, yeah, I want to sit in your circle. Right. Okay. As you said, it's 40 quid. That shows a commitment.
Yeah.
If they're serious, they will honour it and come. Yeah. I can understand both sides of it now.
Yeah.
I really think.
And I agree, because as I said, we've changed the methodology of circles here. And it is presented as a course, and you do pay up front because if there's 1 or 10 in there, we've still got the same amount of lights and heating on.
Exactly.
If you have chosen that night, it's the Strictly finals, and you have chosen that over and above your circle work, that is down to you and spirit. But on the financial and the material side, that is not down to the church to then shoulder that burden of the expenditure to provide a place of learning and education and training for you.
Yeah.
That was a mouthful, wasn't it? I like that one. Anyway, meanwhile, back in the real world, Leslie Manning. Klaus has a wealth of life experience to offer those sitting in circle. Wonderful. That's the gentleman who's just asking about sitting at 50. And
that's good. That's good answer.
Never let age be a barrier.
No.
You are dealing with the eternal you.
You're opening a door here.
Yeah, you are
opening the door there, Laurie.
The eternal you. You are working on that which goes with you. So the age of this, nothing.
Do you remember a conversation we had, me and you? As a medium, got a sell-by date. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you remember this conversation?
Yeah.
So how about then, if for those of us who worked a long time, say for health or for any other reason that stops us travelling, then isn't that the time for us to say, I'm going to run a circle?
Yeah.
I'm going to actually pass down my experiences to the younger generation, not in age, forget age, coming through. And I think this is the difference with circles now. The old mediums of the 1800s, the 1920s, and all the way through, they left a legacy. Gordon Higginson left a legacy. Everyone aspires to be like Gordon Higginson with his evidence, yeah? There's a point, a picture you can say, I want that. Where can you go and train it? And I think, do we reach a point in our lives where we think, actually, maybe I can't, maybe this machine, the body is breaking down, but I've still got this. And while I've still got this, I can offer that teaching to people.
Yeah.
And I think if all of us here realise that, then there's some hope that we can leave a legacy. Yeah. My fears is circles will sadly be superseded by workshops. Right? That is my fear. You know, why do I have to commit to circle? I can go to 50 workshops. Will I learn? You'll learn 50 different ways, but will you learn the way that is best for you?
Yeah.
And who's the teacher on that? Not the teacher, spirit. That's my fear.
I've had it here at Paul on a number of occasions. I've turned people down for workshops because I've said, listen, you've attended like 3 workshops in the last 5 months.
Yeah.
Why do you want to do another one? You know, a workshop isn't a 1-day, 6-hour fix. To me, a well-run, constructed and presented workshop will give you tools that you go away with. You know, I did one on energy healing, and that was magic, because in my healing, even today, and this is over a year ago now, I am still working on techniques that I picked up in that workshop. About link and different aspects of my healing, and I'm still working and developing that which I learned in that 6 hours. So yeah, workshops certainly have a place, most certainly have a place, but as
So, yeah.
a structure, not as the foundation. It's your foundation you've got to work
The
on.
specialist, the speciality side.
Yeah.
If you run a workshop, say you've gone through awareness group, you've gone through beginners, you've ended up in intermediate. Maybe you didn't go to the platform, but your circle leader says, "Do you know what? I think you could be a physical medium, right, or a trance medium." Then the guidance from that circle leader is, "This is where spirit are guiding me to for you." Yeah. So you would actively seek out an area that develops your field. So if someone was doing a workshop on physical mediumship, I can see the point of going to that workshop, Laurie.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is where specialising in areas does help with students.
Oh, definitely focusing.
The guidance of the circle leader.
Yeah, and it's that word again.
Yeah.
It's drawing from your foundation, because if you haven't put your footings down, then you know, you may have to go back at a later date and reinforce what wasn't there in the first place. Joe Bradley, hello, darling. So I don't think young mediums give themselves enough time to develop like they did in the past.
Totally.
So that's easy, yes.
The answer to that is yes. It's a journey, not a race.
Yeah.
It's a journey. Totally agree.
And I think, and this applies to my own medium, this is a lesson I had to learn myself, and this is pre-COVID. Don't put a destination point on your mediumship.
Yeah.
Don't put, you know, that's there. I've been on platform. I've done a couple of messages. I'm getting bookings. Ta-da! I have made it. I am a platform medium.
I've arrived.
And then you find out 3 years later, you're still given the same stuff as you did when you first got up on the platform, because you've just stopped.
Yeah.
Not really, you know, and not taken on that. Okay, yeah, I did a message last night. My God, you know, there was bits in there that I was well chuffed with, and there's bits in there that I know I miss wildly. How do I encourage that? What am I missing here? And what is the energy or the knowledge base that's allowing me to miss that?
Don't come in a circle with preconceptions of what you want to be and when you want to get there.
Yeah.
Go with the journey, sit in the power, and go with the flow. That's the saying, isn't it? Go with the flow. I remember that.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
I do smile wryly sometimes when people say, I want to be a platform medium, you know, and you think, okay, well, number one, show me a multi-millionaire platform medium. I'm still waiting for that one. Number two, do you realize you're going to give up probably 45 or 40 of the 50 Sundays next year? Do you realise that you're going to go to churches and centres where actually you're just a commodity, which is something we both love, isn't it, Bill?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh God.
You know, you've just had the journey from hell, and you've got there by the skin of your teeth, and you're getting told off by somebody because you're late, and
Yeah.
or you have the temerity to be ill. This was absolute cracker with me. This was a blinder.
How dare
You
you?
know, I'm giving you a week's notice because I really don't see me getting over this cold at the moment. It's really so thick on my chest. Well, it's very inconvenient. Oh, well, I'm so sorry. You know, what would happen if one dropped dead then? Would you still expect me to pop in? So, you know what? Yeah, anybody out there listening, you know, with the greatest of respect.
I was in hospital last year many times, as you know.
And
I had the phone went off, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not going to say the church. Oh, we're just confirming for Sunday. I said, I'm in hospital with kidney problems. Oh, okay. Thank you. And clunk. Didn't even ask how I was. And I swear to you on my word of honour, I just looked like that. And the spiritual word that come to mind, and it's like, my God, someone, you know, I've heard these horror stories. I never ever thought I would actually experience it. It was like, oh, okay, thank you very much. Boom. End of.
Yeah. We've run out of questions.
I've enjoyed it.
I have really. Oh no, hang on.
All right, still going.
They're fleeing now. I don't know what's come on at 9 o'clock. But
Blue break.
And
I thought she's put down. I've got to go now. Christmas is coming.
Well, it is. It's 1st of December on Thursday. It's like, oh, bugger.
I hate
Bill,
you.
Thank you. That was really interesting. That was really
I really enjoyed it. And it was good to see engagement.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see where this home circle side of things is going to start growing, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel this is going to be a great avenue for people to reintroduce the love of spirit.
Yeah, create that love affair again, like we had.
Yeah, not the business aspect of a circle, not the egotistical side of a circle. Just sitting with spirit, because that's what I love doing.
So do I. I love doing what I do, and as I said, if I could go back tomorrow and sit in that energy, I'd be back like that little kid again. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just what I'd love doing. Oh, it's been good tonight. Thank you for having us, Laurie.
No, it's good. Well, actually, there is a question just popped in here. And I know you're going to love this, because I know we've actually talked about this subject.
I really am 5'7".
Yeah. I know we have actually talked about this in our various calls. Keith Morn, what are your thoughts on the wellness industry grafting itself onto spiritualism?
Oh God, where do I start?
I know this is the bit that's going to
you've created another hour here now, yeah.
I know.
All right, and I'm going to light a fag up. We've got to go another hour, right? I think it's a leech. I think it has crept in and attached itself to the spiritualism tag. There is always well-being within spiritual, developing with spirit, because that is what it is, mental well-being. Where does it go? I think I'm trying to be polite, Laurie, right? Because I just think the well-being industry is worth so much money.
Billions.
Billions, right? Worldwide. and it's crept into the spiritual aspect. If you have this, if you have that, you're connected with this. I don't like it. I really don't like it. Laurie, your thoughts?
I am looking at the actual wordage used here. And it is, what are your thoughts on the wellness industry grafting itself onto spiritualism?
Mm.
Thank you, Keith, for identifying, because we have spiritualism, we have spirituality.
Yeah.
And to me, although we have commonalities, there is a difference. Spiritualism is a refinement of an overall spirituality. Now,
That's what I was agreeing with the word spiritualism on that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a word you've used there, Keith, that I often use about some practices grafting, and I do like that word, grafting themselves onto spiritualism.
Yeah.
You know, I know in spirituality we have these various practices, disciplines. Sadly, a lot of them don't acknowledge the divinity within them. They make them the nadir point of worship and don't go beyond that. But that's fine, because that's not my monkey and not my circus. But what is my monkey and is my circus is spiritualism. I run a spiritualist church. And from time to time, I have discussions with people, and just politely, I can be polite. I can also be something else. That is not spiritualism.
Exactly.
And it's getting that identification. I'm not knocking spirituality. Spirituality is a generalization of a number of esoteric practices. One of those esoteric practices is spiritualism. Now, when you are working in a spiritualist church, then everything is coming from spirit with that evidential basis to it and attached. Other practices coming in, there is no firm evidential side of it supporting the communication between different realms. You may have the evidence that in the wellness industry you feel better through meditation, you feel a positivity. I agree 100% with that. That's absolutely fine. That is in the spirituality camp. And I know it's, and probably a few people, whatever, or think I'm being pedantic, but in spiritualism, our ethos is that dissemination of information and upliftment through communication.
Evidential, identifiable.
Yeah. If I were to run a spiritual centre, guests that I've had this year would have been totally different. The events here would have been totally different. The very foundation of our, and I couldn't call them services, our gatherings or whatever, would be totally different. However, I run a spiritualist church. So in spiritualism, we support, encourage, foster, and engender education, empowerment amongst those who attend in the field of spiritualism.
Yep.
I do have to step in when we start having, how do I put this politely? I'm really trying to be polite here.
When we brings up emotions on it.
Yeah. When we have people utilize the spiritualist church as a trawling ground for a spiritual practice, unasked, unbidden, then I tend to get quite firm about things.
See, I know we could go on forever.
Oh, very much.
Very much so.
See what you've done now, Keith? Are you happy?
No, I'm just going to say quickly, spiritualism to me, I believe in the communication of spirit.
Yeah.
Right? That we can connect with spirit, spirit will connect with us to prove life everlasting, evidential mediumship. Yeah. To me, the well-being of that comes out that someone may have taken something from that. That to me is well-being.
Mm.
That may have solved, they may have helped grieve, come to terms with whatever. When you come into the wellness industry, it's like you buy these crystals, you buy this, you buy that, you're connecting with the divine, and you will be told by spirit. And then they start to bring the word spirit in.
Mm.
Does that make sense? And it's this door opens wide, and it's such an argument. If I tell you what, Keith, look into how much the wellness industry is worth. It is staggering.
Yeah.
Absolutely staggering.
So yeah, thank you, Keith.
Good question. It could be all night on that one.
Yeah, well, my mind's racing now, so I won't be in bed before 1 o'clock now because I'm just sat there chewing that one over. Anyway, everybody, thank you for joining us. Bill, thank you.
Thanks, Laurie. Thoroughly enjoyed it, mate.
Thank you, Celia.
Bye.
I was going to get the camera and go round there, then put her on live.
God.
Thank you, everyone. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
No, been good night. Interesting conversation. Thank you. We are live here from Paul Church again tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock for our divine service for you to view only. And we welcome our demonstrator for today, Anne Randall, who is joining us from Portsmouth. There's many events coming off at Paul Church. Just pop over to our website or just search Paul Spiritualist in Google. Go on the website and you've got a full rundown what's happening for the rest of this month, also going into December time. In the meantime, we've had a great night. Thank you, everybody out there. You know, you really make these nights by this level of engagement. You really do. So thank you. And it keeps, we don't know everything. Bill doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. Together, we don't know everything. But we have nearly over 50 years of experience and a cat. This is not my cat. Where we can provide you thoughts, we can provide you ideas, we can provide you with an opinion, and it is purely that. It is an opinion. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, absolutely great, because that means you've got your own opinion. So wonderful. Have a great night, everybody. Look after yourself. Lots of love.
Thanks, Laurie. Thanks, everyone. Good night, all.
Good night from Bill. Good night from Lawrence. And good night from Not My Cat.